All right. I'm going to try not to make this like a real rambly video, but it's probably going to turn out that way. I guess I'm going to talk about the red pill as it relates to the Bible. At least my thoughts about it. I'm sure there's other people that have got better thoughts about it. And you should listen to them above me. That's fine. But I guess quickly for the red pill, I think the red pill is a really good defense mechanism. It's really good at telling you the evil side of the female nature. That's really the strength of it, in my opinion. Now you could say it's also good at making you a better man, a more desirable man. But the problem is, if you want to reconcile that from a excuse me, from a Christian perspective, how can you rationalize being a seducer and a fornicator and high notch count simply for the sake of being more sexually arousing to a potential wife? It's hard to bring those together, and I'm not quite sure you can, because fornicators shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, I know you can be washed in the blood and forgiven. I get that. But how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile when the Bible condemns seduction and it condemns fornication? How can you reconcile doing that? And the reconciliation they try to provide is, well, it keeps your woman, here's what I'm getting at. And this is what's hard for me to reconcile personally. In my opinion, seduction is kind of like a gun. Okay? If you want to be a pacifist and not carry a gun, you have to be willing to accept the fact that, yeah, most people will probably be nice to you, but ever so often, someone's going to, beat you up and take your money. And your morals, if you decide to be a pacifist, hopefully will be, well, I'm still going to be a pacifist. Hopefully you're not going to be resentful and go off the deep end and all this, or maybe buy a pistol and you protect yourself. Maybe you learn some martial arts. Okay. And I feel like, in a sense, seduction is the same way, meaning you can learn seduction and you can cause a lot of havoc. Treat it like a machine gun and get your notch count up in the hundreds. I've heard people doing that. But if you have zero seduction, then you really are completely at the whims of women, for better or worse. Now, the red pill is really good at explaining the bad side, the dark side, the negative side, the evil side of the female nature. So it seems good to me to know a little bit, pardon me, to keep that from happening. And it's not always malicious. Sometimes it's unintentional. But I feel like a little bit goes a long way, in a sense. But you need to have some if you want to have a healthy relationship, because you never want her in charge. Even the Bible will say this. Wives are supposed to submit and husbands are supposed to love. Well, in my opinion, this never works because of the female nature. The male nature is a loving nature to begin with, and this loving nature is always thwarted and frustrated by the female nature. Now, the male nature does have problems too. What about the men who have a good relationship and they want to sow their oats or whatever? Fine, that's reasonable. I understand that from a biblical perspective. But the problem is that if a man says, okay, we're equals and we both have problems, well, now he's not in a position of authority. He's not in a position of leadership. His wife or his woman is not going to respect him as much. And it's almost like the female nature is constantly trying to overtake the male nature. That's what the female nature does. The female nature, the tests, right? They're always testing a man's masculinity, his ability to lead, and all this. That's their nature. So you can't be a doormat. You can't roll over, because then another man's going to fill the void. And you could say, well, Cody, God judges the adulterer and he judges the wife. Okay, that's fine. But let me ask you a question. Is that, if you come home to your wife cheating on you, is your first thought, oh well, God will deal with them at the judgment day? Yeah, God will deal with them. Is that your first thought? Oh yeah, God will deal with it. Is that your first thought? I don't know anybody who that's their first thought. Well, they come in and they say, yeah, God will deal with them at the judgment day. I personally don't know anyone who thinks that. And you can say that's true. Ned Flanders, well, okay, yeah, God will deal with you. But the point I'm getting at is that from the red pill perspective, there's a lot of good in it about being a masculine man, taking the lead, knowing how to get out of your wife what you want in a way that satisfies you both. And there's a lot of it that's hard to accept. I'm not particularly convinced that it's a good thing, but here's the problem that I'm getting at. It's not just the red pill's fault. It's not just the masculine side's fault. You can look at the red pill and say, okay, well, the red pill teaches men how to fornicate. It teaches men how to seduce. It teaches men how to be players. It teaches men how to do all these things. Okay, fine. That's not a good thing. Fine. But what about the other side that says, why do women want this? Where is the condemnation of the women who desire this? Why is it the church saying, women, that's evil. You desire evil. You desire to be a whore. That's evil. You desire to produce porn. That's evil. You desire to do OnlyFans. That's evil. You desire to post yourself on the internet nude. That's evil. You desire, your desire to lead men on for finances is evil. Where is the condemnation of the women? It only comes from the red pill side. They're the only people who actually condemn women for these evil practices. Everyone else is just their hands are tied behind their back. They're subjected to the evils of women with no recourse. It's almost like the church just says, what are you going to do? We don't understand women. What are you going to do? They're women. Who knows? Nobody understands them. Only the red pill side gets it. And that's the double-edged sword. It's like, if you want to defend yourself, you need to know how to be able to shoot somebody. And in the process of learning how to shoot somebody, there's a temptation to be like, I could rob somebody. That's the problem with the red pill. The problem with the red pill is the temptation to use it for evil. But as far as defense, it's really helpful. I really think that's the best way to use it, is defensively. Don't date single mothers. Don't date single mothers. You're not going to, just don't date single mothers. She's responsible for her own actions. It's not your responsibility to fix her problems. And here's one more thing that annoys me. I might save this for another video, but I cannot reconcile. Okay, let's put it to you this way. So the church will say, wait until marriage to have sex. If you do that, it'll be better for you. Some people do that, and you can see that a lot. You can see that a lot. Problem is, a lot of people don't do that. Why don't they do that? Well, that's a good question. Let's take my own personal, well, how should I put this? The problem is that sin is unavoidable. The church loves to say that we shouldn't. How do we reconcile the fact that we are sinners and we shouldn't sin? Because a lot of people will say, just don't sin. Just don't sin. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. If that worked, my teenage years would have been a whole lot better, because I didn't want anything to do with puberty and the desires that come with puberty. I was 9 years old when I hit puberty. And I started crying because I was going to church at this time, right? I was literally going to church at this time, and I cried because I didn't want anything to do with it, because to me it was sinful. Now you can say, Cody, that's ridiculous. Hear me out for a second. Hear me out for a second, please. To me, puberty was sinful. Now let me ask you a question. What 9-year-old is thinking about marriage? What 9-year-old is even thinking about the reality of sex, what it actually is? Right? The 9-year-old me was thinking, okay, there's a girl I'm going to church with. I got a crush on her. You know, my first kiss, and then she disappears, and now what? That was 9-year-old me, right? So let's analyze this from a biblical Christian perspective. Wait until marriage. Well, 9-year-old me hits puberty. 9-year-old me is going to vacation Bible school. 9-year-old me has a girlfriend that's 2 years older than me. 9-year-old me, you can say what you know. I'm not going to go that far. I won't drag anybody through the mud. But 9-year-old me, she ended up leaving somehow. I don't know. We stopped talking. We used to talk on the phone. She ended up leaving. What's 9-year-old me supposed to do from a biblical perspective when I have a girlfriend from vacation Bible school, and then she just stops talking to me? What? And 9-year-old me is trying his best not to be in puberty because of everything he's told about sex and how dangerous it can be. What's a 9-year-old supposed to do? Especially when that 9-year-old finally, I don't know how old I was, I might have been a little bit older, but when he finally finds porn in his house, it's almost like I was set up for failure from the beginning. And so what is someone like me supposed to do in that situation? Now you could say, well, Cody, how many times did you have a chance to get married? I say I had one really good chance to get married. But the problem was I wanted to sin more than I wanted to be married. It is what it is. And so I really wish there was, I guess, a couple of things. Well, I don't think I brought it with me. But Matthew chapter 19 is a really good chapter for the non-married. The Bible has a lot to say about marriage, about not getting married. For one thing, Matthew chapter 19 says, there are those who were born eunuchs, there are those who were made eunuchs by men, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. And when you see a lot of the red pill community, well, let's just say the manosphere, not necessarily the red pill community, because the red pill community is really more about seduction and pickup artistry and the female sexual desire and stuff like that. But the MGTOW side, I guess you could say, Matthew 19 is like their calling card. That's like their banner. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. But I feel like it's, where am I going with this? I feel like you can use the red pill very defensively. I'm not necessarily convinced that it's a good thing to get your notch count up. First of all, the Bible condemns fornication. You can't get around that. I don't care. You can't get around that. But from a defensive perspective, it just seems like here's what's ticking me off. I'm getting really mad about this. Okay, here's what's here. I'm going to summarize my position right here because it's really ticking me off. I don't understand why what I'm about to say is the typical Christian position. I would say there's two typical Christian positions about marriage. One of them makes sense. couple of virgins marry when they're 18. They stay, perfect. Here's the second most common Christian position with regards to marriage in practicality, in reality. And that's the 30-year-old virgin man marrying the woman with a promiscuous past. That's the most common Christian marriage that exists. You've got the 30-year-old man. He struggled with porn, no social skills, very little. Trying his best to be a Christian man. Maybe he watches a lot of porn, maybe he watches a little. No social skills, waiting on the one, waiting on God to send him his special flower, whatever. 30-year-old virgin. Then you've got the woman who, what the red pill calls hitting the wall. Right? She's starting to lose her look. She wants to settle down. Where was she when she was 18? You know where she was when she was 18. Producing pornographic content without the camera, let's just say. Or maybe with the camera. While her looks are there, whoring it up. Don't want nothing to do with that church boy. Don't want nothing to do with him. Then she finally her physical features start to decline. She's like, man, I need to lock down a man. So she goes to the Christian virgin and they get married, and he doesn't know she's promiscuous. She keeps it a secret. She's domineering. She wears the pants. Maybe she brings a kid along. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. The red pill has a lot of good things, like about frame. Frame is very important, and it's even biblical. The man's supposed to be in charge. The man's supposed to take the lead. The woman's supposed to be, she's the weaker vessel. Why would you have the weaker vessel in charge? That doesn't make sense. So what I'm saying is there's good aspects to the red pill that are useful in the Christian sense, in my opinion. Just because you can take a machine gun and slaughter a bunch of people and that's bad doesn't mean that you can't, maybe carry an AR-15 and be like, don't mess with me. I feel like there's a degree that it's good to know how women work from a defensive standpoint, not necessarily from an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint. And I don't feel like the church does a good job of explaining that. The church is all about forgiveness. Well, if you're a man and you're doing that, you're going to be a doormat. You're not going to be taking the authoritative lead that you're supposed to as a husband, which is biblical. You're going to be a doormat. You're going to be aggravated. You're going to be confused. Worst case scenario is you get cheated on again. You get divorced, alimony, all the, the red pill is the only side that talks about this. Where are the Christians talking about this like the red pill does? Where are the Christians talking about this? The Christians, they idealize marriage like most men do. Men, by default, idealize marriage. Okay? But only the red pill really talks about the negative side of the female nature. The other side of it is forgive. And I just feel like that's not really from a marriage standpoint. Marriage between a man and a woman is supposed to be like between Christ and the church. I don't like that view of marriage. Why? Because I like the red pill view of marriage. Here's what I don't understand. The church will say, wait until you get married to have sex. And then you can go on the internet and read about all kinds of horror stories in marriage. Go to the dead bedroom subreddit. Right? Seriously. I'm married and Christ said if we get, sex is supposed to happen in marriage. Well, if you study the red pill, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, you're having duty sex with your wife. Great. Where's the passion? Where's the this? Where's the that? So my question is, why can't the church, why can't the Christianity reconcile the insights of the red pill that are helpful in regards like that? I mean, if you look at Christian marriage through the red pill, it's almost like Christian marriage is, yeah, sex really ain't that great to begin with. I'm serious. If you look at it through the red pill lens, it's like, so romance never is the way you want it to be. She's always gonna test your masculinity. She's always gonna test your authority to see how you react. She's always gonna nag you and attempt to wear the pants, which is biblical. You know, nagging is a just look up nagging in the Bible. It's very fascinating. How it's it's better to live on the corner of, this is in Proverbs. It's better to live on the corner of a roof than it is to share a house with a nagging wife. Now, the application of that is for the men. Don't try to explain that to women. That's where the red pill really helps, because the red pill will be like, you can't rationalize with women. Don't try to rationalize with women. The red pill is a way to help you relate to women in a way in which your desires are fulfilled and you take the leadership effectively. I don't understand why the Christian side will basically hype up the sex within marriage. They hype it up. Young people, wait until you're married to have sex, and it's going to be the best experience of your life. Yeah, you're struggling with porn right now, but just wait till you get married, and then sex is going to be amazing. And then you look online, it's like, no, it's not. What happened? How about we go to our dead bedrooms, the subreddit, and say, hey guys, I just want to let you guys know that as long as you're married, the church says your sex life will be incredible. No, it's not. We're married. What's wrong with our sex life? I don't feel like the church has a good response to that. That's my point. The church does not have a good response to that. And you can say, Cody, the church shouldn't be talking about it in such vulgarity. Why can't men, Christian men, church-going men, know that a promiscuous woman is a bad choice for a wife if he wants to be intimate with her? Why is that such a bad thing? Why should he... Here's what I don't like, and I can't reconcile this. The biblical view really is an anti-sexual view. Cody, that's crazy. No, it is. You know why? Because the Bible, the Bible says, the relationship between a man and a husband and wife should be like Christ and the church. Well, if you do that, that is a very loving relationship, but it's not a very sexual relationship from a red pill lens, which makes sense. When you look at things from the red pill, which you could say, Cody, why are you looking at it from the red pill? Because the reason the red pill exists in the first place is because men were having problems with women and their wives, and they wanted solutions. Now, did they go to the church first? I mean, what are you going to do if you're a man and you're married and your sex life is terrible? Are you going to go to your pastor and say, Pastor, my wife's not having sex with me? And he's going to point to a passage that says, don't deny each other except for a time, and then come together for prayer. So you go to your wife and you point out that verse and you say, hey, honey, blah, blah, blah. She's like, fine, get it over with. Go ahead, get it over with. Come on, that's not... How is that the holiest solution? What's wrong with the red pill being like, oh yeah, here's how to get your wife to desire to have sex with you? It's almost like, why is her desire inherently unholy? That's what I don't understand. It really feels like the critics of Christianity with regards to sex were right, because the Christians will say that married sex is the best sex and all this, and then there's so much evidence to the contrary of that. As far as, look at our dead bedrooms, look at infidelity, look at cuckoldry, look at open relationships, look at hypergamy, look at all the things that the red pill realistically talks about. It's like, wait a minute, I thought married sex was supposed to be great. Why isn't it? And the reason really is the female sexual nature. That's the root of it. You can say it's the male sexual nature too. The male sexual nature wants to have sex. It wants to have sex that wants to have sex with it. Okay. That's the best type of sex. So the red pill tries to do that. How do you get women to sexually desire you? How do you get your wife to sexually desire you? So, you know, the critics of Christianity will say, well, you know, it's almost like Christians think that sexual desire is evil. And I can understand that position, because if the red pill is trying to get you to increase the sexual desire for your wife, and then the Christians are saying, don't do that, love your wife and put her on a pedestal and all this, you know, the church doesn't have the solutions to the problems the way that the red pill does. It's almost like the church is pacifistic when it comes to marriage. What do I mean by that? Pedestalize her, doormat her. If she divorces you, she wasn't the one anyway. They don't give men any power and control over their lives. Instead, they just say, "Oh, they're basically teaching men to stay in a cycle of romantic pacifism, if you want to call it that." They don't teach men anything about how a woman's sexual past affects his relationship to her. They don't teach anything about the alpha widow dynamic. They don't teach anything about this. They just teach the church essentially teaches men to be what the red pill calls the blue pill. And so when you can see the problems in the blue pill, I'm not saying the red pill doesn't have problems. It does. It's hard to reconcile. It's nice to love a woman, but how many people in love just get the rug pulled out from underneath them, right? So, love is not enough. When you read the Bible, it seems like love should be enough. Love should be enough. Love should be enough. Well, if love is enough, I don't think any man would ever get divorced. I really don't. Most men are not red pill. Most men are blue pill, romanticizers, love for its own sake. And those are the guys who end up getting hurt the most by a woman's infidelity. Why she cheat on me? I love her. Divorce. Why she divorced? Why is she wanting to talk about divorce? Why is she wanting to talk about open relationships? Why is she wanting to talk about this stuff? They're blue pill. They're ignorant of the red pill, but they're in love. The Christian view is love, 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 love. Okay, they're loving. And guess what? They're getting raked over the coals because of it. So where is the church's solution to this? Oh, it's okay. She's not the right one. Okay, she's not the right one, but I married her, number one. Number two, she's threatening to take half my stuff. Number three, I can't see my kids. She wasn't the one. Wait for the next one. She'll be nicer. Like, that's just terrible advice. That's terrible advice. Once you know how the red pill works, you can see how that's bad advice. That's terrible advice. Oh, she wasn't the one. She was a hoe. Yeah, I wish I would have known that before I married her. Where was God telling me she was a hoe before I married her? Why didn't I see the warning signs? I just don't understand why that is the default Christian position in marriage. There's two default Christian positions in marriage. One is the 18-year-old virgins that marry. The second one is the man essentially being a pushover and a doormat his entire marriage, nags to death, threatened with divorce, threatened with child support, threatened, maybe being cheated on and doesn't know it. Just crazy stuff. I don't understand why that's the default, right? In a perfect world, the male romantic view would work. The male romantic view, to me, would seem to be the best Christian view of marriage. But instead, the Christian view of marriage is almost like sacrifice yourself for your wife. If we're supposed to love our wives, I'm not married, but I'm just saying, if we're supposed to love our wives the way that Christ loved the church, then that essentially means, metaphorically speaking, be willing to die on a cross for your wife. Well, the red pill says if you do that, your wife is not going to want to have sex with you. But then the church says, oh, well, sex is really important in marriage. Don't have sex outside of marriage. But the reality is that people aren't having sex in marriage. Hello, do you get what I'm saying? They're not having sex in marriage, most of them. So they're saying, wait a minute, we're doing it the Christian way. I'm here on our dead bedrooms. I'm married. Hey, church, why am I not having sex with my wife? Only the red pill is giving you the answer. So my point is that the red pill is like a gun. It's like a weapon. Don't dismiss it just because there's players with 500 notch counts and you're a Christian and you don't want to fornicate, right? There's some good stuff in there. You just have to ignore the stuff. You're like, I'm not doing that. But there's good stuff in there. You know, you don't want to be a pacifist in your marriage, a sexual pacifist. You know, the red pill is really important in, you know, establishing dominance, sexual desire for your wife, all of it. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's some bad stuff in there that you don't want to do, but there's some good stuff in there. You don't want to be living in the basement of your own home because your wife kicked you out. That's not a good Christian view of marriage. I don't care. You know, that's a bad, you're just opening yourself up to be a cuckold. That's not the Christian view of marriage. Wait a minute. I put my wife on a pedestal. I'm doing everything the way I feel like Christ wants me to, and I get cuckolded? What happened? Well, what's a non-red pill pastor going to tell you in that situation? She was just, you know, she was just a hoe. Yeah, no, but now I'm losing half my stuff. I'm losing my kids. I have to pay alimony because of her whoring. I'm not going to get into the societal issues with that. That's kind of screwed. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm just focusing on the red pill and Christianity. I'm not talking about legal issues and all that. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But I'm just saying, from a red pill perspective and the Christian perspective, it's like, you know, the red pill perspective can tell you everything wrong with your relationship. It can tell you everything wrong. It can tell you how to improve. It can tell you to get in the gym. It can tell you about her desire. It can tell you all this. Now, you can say, well, Cody, the red pill doesn't have a lot of love in it. Okay, let's look at the love side. If you look at the love side, what's the love side? 18-year-old has a crush on a girl. 18-year-old doesn't have any social skills. 18-year-old girl waits until they're 23 to ask her out. 18-year-old guy gets the you're a creep. Basically, the Christian view is the AFC view, if you know PUA terminology. That's the Christian view. And so the PUAs are saying, my question is this: is the average frustrated chump view the holy Christian view? You know, that's what I'm getting at here. I don't necessarily think you need to, you know, get up your notch count through PUA. That's fine. But why is the AFC view the holy view? You know what I don't know how to reconcile these two, because the red pill makes a lot of sense. The red pill teaches you how to lead women. It teaches you how to be masculine. It teaches you how to get what you want out of women. Or you can, even your wife. Let's not say women, a wife. Okay. It teaches you how to protect yourself. And so why would that be condemned from a Christian perspective? Certain aspects of it I get, but certain aspects, it's like, wait a minute. So that's how I can protect myself. That's how I can basically keep my wife happy. That's really what the red pill is about. I would say the red pill is about a couple of things. You can say, Cuddy, no, it's not. You know, the crisis of motive, really, that's really who do you lift weights for yourself or for the attraction? But the attraction you get is for you too. Crisis of motive. Okay. But there's certain things that I guess they're supposed to be supplementary, because I remember Billy Graham preaching one time about because he was preaching right in the midst of the sexual revolution. I mean, when the pill came on the scene, Billy Graham had been preaching for 20 years already. You know what I mean? However long he was just reaching his prime right when the sexual revolution hit. Okay, so he was out there with all of them preaching. Okay, but I remember him talking about not having waiting until marriage to have sex, and he brought up the point where you might say that the pill solved all your problems. He's like, what about the girl that you hurt? What about the family that you have and all this? But I'm still having problems reconciling the Christian view of marriage, which to me, the Christian view of marriage, okay, let's say there's three different views of marriage here as far as I can tell. Okay. The first view of marriage is the male view of marriage. And the male view of marriage is the 18-year-old view of marriage, the obsessive view of marriage. That girl was really beautiful. view of marriage, the, you know, the you could call it the simp view of marriage, the beta view of marriage. That's really the default male view of marriage. Okay, default starting out, and that's the view of marriage that flips on its head. Oh, you know, don't want anything to do with them. She took me for this. She took me for that. Country singer, you know, she took everything. That turns into that real easily. And then you have the view of the same guy, the view of marriage, where he discovers she used to be a whore, and now he's like, wait a minute, you don't desire me the way you desire them. That's a red pill exclusive. Only the red pill talks about that problem. No one else talks about that problem. You know, the Christian view is almost hypocritical, because it might say, well, just get over it. See, the Christian view of marriage is wait until marriage to have sex. And then when you're in a sexless marriage, get over it, because marriage is about more than sex. That's the typical Christian view of marriage. Wait until marriage to have sex. And then if you're in a sexless marriage, get over it, because marriage is more than about it. It's contradictory. It's contradictory. Wait a minute, I got married because I didn't want to sin, and now we're not having sex and we're married, and so why was I told to wait? You see what I'm saying? You know, where are the Christians where are the Christians telling men how to have better sex lives? I mean, if it's going to help your marriage, where are they? Maybe they're only in the red pill, but they're not in the tradcon pill, as far as I can tell. Because the tradcon pill is here. Let's put it to you this way. You know, you got the AFBB. If you don't know what that means, you can look it up. Whatever. You got the AFBB, okay? Well, the AF side says, which just makes sense. If you want to have sex with your wife, you need to be sexual. What does that mean? You need to be comfortable and confident in your sexuality, and you need to be attractive. So, you know, hit the gym. How many pastors would say hit the gym? I don't think very many would. Maybe some would. But the other side is, you know, pedestalize her, buy her things, be nice to her, give her flowers, give her chocolates. Well, think about this logically. Whatever you do for a woman, she's going to expect more of that. So the tradcon side, if you want to call it that, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm just trying to be realistic here. It does. If you buy her chocolates, she's going to expect more chocolates. If you take her on expensive trips, she's going to expect more expensive trips. Whatever you do, she's going to expect more of. You can't just buy her chocolates and expect to be intimate. If you want to be intimate, you need to be intimate. Right? So you need to learn how to be intimate in a way that's effective. And only the red pill tells you that. You know, if you want to be sexually desirable, you need to be sexually desirable. If you want your wife to go, he's looking pretty good, then you need to look pretty good. It's not like buying chocolates is gonna, oh, he's looking pretty good. They don't cross like that. You buy her chocolates, she's like, oh, he bought me chocolates, and then she's going to expect chocolates. She's not, you know what I'm saying? The point is, from the red pill perspective, sexual desire is a body desire, right? And so you need to take care of your body, first and foremost. Second of all, you know, the red pill that's what the red pill excels at. The red pill excels at the female sexual desire. And once again, that's like a gun. You can use it defensively. You can use it when you need to. You don't want to go mass slaughtering, but you don't want to get married if you don't understand the female sexual nature. Don't get married. You know, you could say ignorance is bliss and innocence is bliss. And I agree. If you're both 18 and you're very pure, never watch porn, never promiscuous, you're both virgins, then perfect. That should work out perfectly. What about the rest of us? What are the rest of us supposed to do? Especially the men. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do if we find porn at 9 years old? What are you supposed to do when your parents give you a smartphone and you're going right to the porn? You can say it's the parents' fault. Okay, fine. What about, okay, great. I'm 9 years old. I've been watching porn for 5 years. Why'd you give me a smartphone, Mom and Dad? You ruined my life. That's not going to help. They're not going to listen. I mean, maybe they will, but that's not going to solve your problem. Oh, why'd you do that? Why'd you buy me that smartphone? I've been watching porn for 7 years. I'm 16. Why did you do that? It's not really going to help you. It's not really going to help you. So like I say, best case scenario, perfect scenario is the virgins that get married at 18. They stay together. They don't cheat. All the rest of it. The most realistic scenario is the 30-year-old virgin who marries the 30-year-old single mother. And from a red pill perspective, we know that's just not going to work. Now you could say, and once again, you could say there's two conflicting, views: the white pill and the red pill. The white pill being the tradcon married pill, and red pill being the female sexual desire pill. I just don't understand why it's a bad thing to want your wife's sexual desire. I don't understand why a Christian would condemn that. You can say they don't. Okay, they don't. But the prescriptions that they provide don't work. So when are they going to look in the mirror and be like, maybe those guys are right? The problem is, it's almost like they don't want anything to. They're afraid that they're going to see. They don't want to walk into the armory because they're afraid they're going to see Nagasaki clips on the screen. You see what I'm saying? They're afraid if they learn how to defend themselves, they're going to see a lot of things that they don't want to see. But a little defense goes a long way. And you don't want to be defenseless. There's so many horror stories, nice guys, and, the red pill is very helpful. And I would like to be able to reconcile the Christian view with the red pill view, because the red pill makes a lot of sense. You can, like I say, you can do a lot of damage with it, but you can be very defensive with it. And I encourage and implore people to be very defensive with it. Study it and be defensive with it. And like I say, maybe innocence is bliss. But once again, the problem is that if you want to be innocent of the red pill, if you want to take the blue pill and be loving and romantic and be Christian with it, then you have to accept the fact that you're going to get a lot of "not tonight, honey, I got a headache." And that seems crazy to me, because Christians sell marriage as being a sexual paradise. And it's just not for most men. So why are Christians selling marriage as a sexual paradise when most of the time it's not? I don't understand that. They move the goalposts. Marriage and sex is the best thing that's going to happen to you. Well, I'm not having sex in marriage. Well, marriage is about more than sex. But wait a minute, but you told me that I should have that this is going to be amazing, that wait until marriage to have sex. Well, I did. I got married. I want to have sex. Yeah, but we're going to move the goalposts now, and you should have got married for reasons other than sex. Okay, but I don't feel like there's a good response to so many relationship dynamics. I don't feel like that Christians typically have a good response to relationship dynamics. The red pill has great responses to the relationship dynamics because they essentially tell you how things are at the bottom of the barrel for men and women. What about people like Elliot Rodger? I'm getting dark. I got really dark. But what about people like Elliot Rodger, right? The incel community, the violent side, the Ted Bundy people or whatever. I'm getting really dark. I apologize. But the point I'm trying to make is, what's the church going to say to somebody like Elliot Rodger? What's the church going to say to somebody who's like 37 years old, who's never had a kiss, and they're getting mad about it? What's the church going to say? Wait. What's the red pill say? Yeah, you're waiting on a single mother who was whoring it up in college, and you're waiting on a marriage that's going to be very, and you're going to be waiting marriage that you think is going to be full of sensual physical bliss, and it's not. This turned into 2 videos. You know, you're waiting on a marriage that you think is going to be full of sexual bliss, and it's not. That's what the red pill tells you, which is the reality. So I don't understand how to reconcile the Christian view of marriage with the red pill view of marriage. I don't understand that. The Christian view of marriage to me is just, it's a lot of being a doormat for your wife, having a wife that doesn't sexually desire you. Basically what the red pill calls blue pill. And I just don't understand why that is this holy ideal. Why is the blue pill the holiest view of marriage that there is, apparently? I don't understand that. Why should you sacrifice yourself for your wife if the very act of you sacrificing yourself makes her not sexually desire you, especially when the church says that basically sex and marriage go hand in hand, when they really don't in practice. Just look at I don't understand how that is to be reconciled. To me, the red pill makes sense. I would start with the red pill side, the masculine side, the pro-masculine side, hit the gym side. Here's how you arouse women's side. I would start from that side and then try to incorporate that in the Christian view, because otherwise, if you do it the other way, you're going to reject the red pill completely. You're going to be a beta. You're not going to have a mental point of origin. You're going to be told to be a man, but you're not going to be told how to be a man. So you're going to be buying her roses and chocolate and being a doormat and maybe being a stepdad. You're going to be right in the throes of every blue pill problem that there is if you start from that point of view. And I just don't understand how to reconcile that. I don't understand how that can be reconciled from a Christian perspective. I don't understand why being a doormat is holier than knowing how to arouse your wife. Why is that holier? Why is it holier to buy her roses and have her nag you to death and not tonight, honey, I got a headache? Why is that holier than having your wife being like, let's go. Why is that holier? That's the way it seems. Why is that holier than having your wife say, let's go? You know, why is that holier? I don't get it, and I can't reconcile that. So I'm going to start with the red pill and then work my way back to the Christian side of things, because the red pill makes too much sense. And I'm not going to walk around as a pacifist. I've tried. I told the Lord I wanted to be a sexual pacifist or whatever, celibate or whatever you want to call it. He's like, nah. I'm like, fine. Well, guess what? I'm going to start swallowing the red pill. So do what you got to do, Lord. I don't care. I'm not taking the blue pill, the beta pill, the love pill, the pedestallation pill, the buyer flowers pill. I'm gonna, figure out how much defense I need. What size gun do I need? Probably need like an AR-15, metaphorically speaking. Like, yeah, this is how much red pill defense I need. I'm not gonna be a red pill pacifist, not take it all. I'm not even gonna be a red pill, Glock or 9mm. I'm gonna be a red pill AR-15. I'm not gonna be a red pill, machine gun, automatic machine gun. I'm going to be a red pill AR-15. That's how much red pill I want to have. So, how can I conclude this? I guess I'm just going to, I guess I've said all I'm going to say, so I'll go ahead and end it here. I'm probably going to leave the comments off for this one too. Because once again, with the internet, you already know, like I said in my last video, you already know what people are going to say. You can read it. It's just a never-ending cycle. It's you either go this way or you go this way. I'm going this way. You're going to go this way. There's no point in us having this back and forth. So that was me attempting to reconcile Christianity and the red pill. We'll see how it goes.